In Korea, marriage can sometimes feel a little bit different. Not just emotional, but almost measurable. Like something that can be evaluated and even compared. If you look at how people meet for marriage in Korea, there's actually a whole industry built around it. Marriage agencies. You sign up, submit your information, your height, your weight, your education, your job, your income, even your family background, like your parents' jobs or assets. And then, based on all of that, you get matched with someone. This might sound a little bit unusual because in many countries, people like to think of marriage as something emotional, something natural. You meet someone, you connect, and things develop. But in Korea, sometimes it feels a little different. So instead of just thinking, do I like this person? People might also think, how well do we match on paper? And actually, this idea might not be unique to Korea. For example, in India, arranged marriages are still quite common. Families are often involved in the process. In China, there are even physical marriage markets where parents present their children's information. And in Japan, there's a tradition called omi-ai, which is a more formal, criteria-based introduction. So in a way, this idea of considering practical factors in marriage exists in many places. But I think what makes Korea feel different is this. In other countries, these processes are often driven by family or remain more traditional, or sometimes these preferences stay unspoken. In Korea, it feels more visible. You can even see advertisements for marriage agencies in places like movie theaters or subway stations. And people tend to talk about these vectors more openly. For example, there's a common perception that many women care about things like a man's height, income, or financial stability. And on the other hand, many men are often seen focusing on appearance. Of course, this doesn't apply to everyone. But what's interesting is these ideas are spoken openly. And beyond that, this whole process has become something more than just culture. It's also commercial. There are companies that organize this, standardize it, and turn it into a service. And I think that's the key difference. It's not that Korea is the only place where people think this way. It's that in Korea, this way of thinking has become more structured, more normalized, and more commercialized. Maybe this has something to do with how society works here. We grow up being evaluated by scores, rankings, measurable results. And over time, that mindset doesn't just stay in school or work. It slowly becomes part of how we see other areas of life, even relationships. Also, marriage in Korea is often connected to family, stability, and long-term planning. So in a way, approaching it more rationally does make sense. But at the same time, there's something a little uncomfortable about it. Because when everything becomes measurable, you start to wonder, are we choosing people or are we evaluating them?